first of all, if you're Arne Slot, why put yourself in that position? You either start Trent Alexander-Arnold or you leave him out the entire squad. You either start him and say, these are the players I have at my disposal. I am paid to get results for Liverpool Football Club. Trent Alexander-Arnold's the best right back we currently have on our books. You start. I don't think he gets booed from the start. But if you bring on Trent Alexander-Arnold with 20 minutes to play, I just think you're kind of asking for trouble. The other option would have been to say, Trent Alexander-Arnold, his mind's gone, his head's in Madrid, you're not in the squad. I think Trent would have accepted that. I think everyone would have accepted that. So for Arne Slot to bring him on with 20 minutes to go, like, you're a clever man, Arne Slot, and he's been near flawless this season. I think that's a mistake. And as for the fans booing him, Ollie, the fan base of a football club is never an aligned set of emotions, if that makes sense. Think about the different people that are inside a football stadium. You've got like the 85-year-old Scouser that's been there and done that and had a season ticket passed through the family for generations. You've got the 21-year-old Japanese tourist. You've got the group of lads on tour. You've got the woman by herself. You've got the dad and lad. You've got the, dad going with his daughter for the first time. Inside a football ground is an entirely mixed bag of different people who experience Liverpool Football Club or whatever football club in different ways. So it's very rare that you're going to get an aligned emotion on such a divisive topic. So, yeah, some people booed. Like, look, I personally wouldn't have booed him, and I don't think you should boo a player that's playing in your colours. I think it's a bit wet, to be honest. I think if you've got nothing to say, don't say anything. Some people clapped him as well, which obviously won't be kind of included in the story tomorrow because it's not very interesting. But yeah, I think it's like booing someone's not the worst crime in the world. Would I have done it? No. Does he deserve a bit more respect? Possibly. Has he left his boyhood club to one of Liverpool's rivals? Yes. All those things can be true at the same time. What do you think about it?
I think it's a stretch calling Real Madrid one of Liverpool's rivals. I mean,
Why? Lost to 2 Champions League finals in the last few years. Played them 5 times in 8 years. What? They're a rival, mate.
They're a side that they happen to meet fairly often on the continental stage, but they're not
makes
a
them
rival.
a rival.
There's not.
What do you mean?
Well, there's not an ingrained like animosity between these two at the moment. You'd never point who are Liverpool's biggest rivals right now. Well, you've got Manchester United historically. You've got Everton in the city, obviously sharing the city, and then obviously Real Madrid are a big rival. Like, it's not.
I think Real Madrid are a big rival.
No, I don't.
Real Madrid are the biggest football club in the world. Liverpool are one of the biggest football clubs in the world. They meet every other year in Europe. They now take Liverpool's players. They're after Canate on a free transfer next summer. They're a rival.
I don't see it in that same way. There's the odd time, and I think particularly when teams used to meet each other on a semi-regular basis, when the likelihood of it was less frequent. I would argue personally more that would generate a bit of a more organic rivalry. When these European sides are now thrust upon each other in more and more games as the Champions League has expanded and as we've changed the format, etc., it feels like a forced rivalry more than anything else. Aside from obviously losing the 2 finals, which creates a fair bit of animosity, but it's an animosity that is left kind of on the doorstep for 12 months basically, and then is re-picked up again. And whereas a rivalry is something that kind of consumes you more over a constant period. But we can nitpick at that, and it's kind of rare that we disagree, I think, a lot of the time, Dave, on this podcast, because we seem to be...
Fuck are you talking about, Wilson?
Yeah, here we go.
We need more of that.
Yeah, you're the kind of guy that would boo Trent Alexander-Arnold with that sort of attitude as well, I imagine, with your foul-mouthed football podcast, Dave Windsor. No, look, I think we're worrying way too much about this whole scenario, especially as somebody who's not connected with the internal workings of Liverpool Football Club, and personally as someone that has only neutral feelings at best for Liverpool Football Club anyway. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect those fans that booed. The fans that booed are probably in the minority, and the minority speak the loudest most of the time anyway. They're the ones that make more racket than anybody else. So it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter. Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't going to...
Nothing matters, does it, really?
But Trent Alexander-Arnold's not going to go home tonight and go, oh, they booed me, didn't they? There was a few people that booed me.
I don't know about that. Ollie, people are humans, and you don't think that Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's been at the club for 20 years, is going to go home tonight, put his head in the pillow, and think, blimey, I just got booed by a fan base that should love me, and I've dedicated years of energy, and the club have been great to him, sure, but he's given 20 years. All right, he's a kid for 15 of those, but the club have given him he's given the club 20 years of service. Man, I think he feels that. I think he feels that.
No, I think he'll recognise, and if he's got smart people around him, will be told to recognise as well that you don't have to worry about those small people that are booing because it's a small number. So I think he'll go, and footballers are so removed, I think, from a lot of the public and the fan bases anyway. But I think he will go back. Now, the ones that I imagine will hurt more will be the direct messages that he's probably seeing on social media that I hope isn't happening. But I can imagine that there are some brainless people out there that are messaging his Instagram account or something like that and calling him various horrible things under the sun for the fact that he's deciding to go off to Real Madrid. Those are the ones that probably sting. But in a football environment, particularly when you hear about how players block out a lot of the crowd noise anyway because they're so focused in on their game and what they're doing, and I kind of believe that to some extent because even at mild levels of competition, when you and I were probably younger in school or football teams or anything like that, you don't really hear a lot of the noise that comes from the crowd. Yeah, there's the odd comment that might cut through, but the
wins and
boos
missed
or
the sitter.
cheers, yeah,
will always haunt me on it.
yeah, but they had a chant for that, which was a bit rude, to be honest, because you're only 8 years old. That's just mean. But yeah, I just don't see it affecting him on a long-term basis.
Should Slot have played him?
I find it odd in that he brings him on to kind of give him what feels like he's trying to give him the showcase. You know what I mean? Like in the same way you bring the guy who's got a hat-trick off with 10 minutes to go, so he's going to be applauded by everybody. You've left him out the side. Let's put him on to kind of almost gauge the reaction, maybe. And I wonder if that might be it as well. If Arne Slot's actually using him to test the waters, which actually would be quite a smart, mature thing of, well, it's not actually gone down that well with some people. So I tell you what, I'm going to, he's the guinea pig, so to speak. He's the canary going into the mine to check if there's gas. And it turns out there's a little bit of gas in there. So, get that. Not sending them any more canaries.
There was a part of me that did think, is this some real psychological play from Slot here? That I'm not saying he's thrown Trent Alexander-Arnold into the lion's den, because he hasn't, but of all the things to do in this scenario, you could have started him, and in which case maybe there would have been a few boos at the start and it would have died down. You could have let him out the squad entirely. You could have put him on the bench with no intention of actually playing him, just to kind of keep him involved, but actually you were just never going to bring him on. You could have done any of those things. But what Arne Slot did was the exact thing that he must have known. He's a smart man. He must have known that is going to elicit a response at 2-2 in a game between first and second in the Premier League, even though the title's done. So there was a dark part of me that thought, has Arne Slot done that as just go on then, let's see. Right, Trent, you don't want to be part of this football club going forward. You don't want to be under me going forward. Go on then, let's see what it's really about.
Okay, but if he doesn't play Trent at all and drops him from the squad, it divides the fan base. Oh, he's a servant. He's been part of this club. Give him the send-off that he deserves. The other people are maybe the louder, small vocal minority going, yeah, stop it. Yeah, it's good. So if Slot does that, also then there's the press, which will be Liverpool to turning their back on this player that's given so much for them. There's the potential negativity. If he starts him, and particularly if Trent Alexander-Arnold plays really well, you've then got a problem because, well, he's still a key part of this lineup. He's in the starting 11 even when he's about to leave, and he's playing a blinder to finish off the season. So Arne Slot doesn't want that either. So this is like the happy medium of the small chorus of boos, but Arne Slot still gets to say that he gave what many Liverpool fans will consider a great servant of the club, playing time and a send-off in front of supporters in a big game. We get to have the whole kind of guard of honour and everything that comes with taking on Arsenal when you've already got the title wrapped up and all that kind of thing. So you get to have your cake and eat it as well. So it's actually, I think, a very smart move from Arne Slot because it's like being a centrist. You're not taking the extreme one side if we're going to start him, and you're not taking the extreme other if we're never going to play him.
Rory Stewart.
Yeah. He's
not actually much of a centrist anymore.
He's a Lib Dem manager. He's the Nick Clegg of football management. He's just towing it down the middle in between the two and trying not to ruffle too many feathers. And that's the right way to go about this whole situation because it's for...
But he's done the complete opposite, Ollie. Wait a second. But by bringing him on with 20 minutes to go, Ollie, that's that's not diplomatic. It's not trying to calm things down. It's a complete opposite from what we've seen from Arne Slot all season. Arne Slot's been like, okay, calm everything down. Maybe these players will sign contracts. Maybe they won't. Nothing's a big deal. This has happened and this has happened. He's just a very sort of calm Dutch guy. And yet he's thrown Trent Alexander-Arnold into a situation that obviously was going to result in him getting booed.
He's letting it look like Liverpool Football Club don't necessarily need him. We can play other people. That's fine. We can start other people. We are starting to look at starting other people. So he doesn't get to start. But I'm not going to deny this young man his chance to go out in front of those supporters again for the last few times of potentially his whole career and still take the large majority of adulation that will come from those supporters. He's putting him in the spotlight for a very few seconds as he comes onto the field. And it's a smaller spotlight than if he starts him and everyone goes, well, we still need him because he's still starting for us. Even Arne Slot's still starting him at the end of this season. Or if you completely drop him and don't play him, and then everyone goes, see, we don't need you. It's towing that middle ground really nicely. I can understand it if you look at it that way.